Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, we have a very special episode. We are doing an E3 special with Devious Eye Entertainment. Hey there, everybody. How's it going?
Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Wonderful. So why don't we begin by just introducing everybody and then kind of talking about your studios and your upcoming games.
Sure.
Sounds like a plan to me.
I am Andrea. I am COO of Devious Eye Entertainment.
I'm Andreas. I'm the Business Development Officer for Devious Eye Entertainment.
And I'm Jen. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of Devious Eye Entertainment, as well as the Executive Director of Before the Storm.
Beautiful. Well, welcome, everybody. I'm sure you guys have kind of had a hectic weekend, although today is Tuesday.
Yes, so a lot of things go really well, and then some things not going so great. But we're glad to be here, and we're glad to be on a platform, be able to explain what we brought to E3 and a little bit more information about everything we brought as well.
Absolutely. And as I understand it, because I watched your showcase, you have 7 games coming out. Is that true?
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to talk about every single one if we can. And so why don't we begin by telling us a little bit about what is Devious Eye Entertainment?
So Devious Eye Entertainment is a multimedia entertainment company. It does have a couple subsidiary companies, but as of right now, the parent company houses gaming, music, and film. Film is going to be a little bit later down the road. Right now, we are focusing on video game development and music, as we do have a few released music artists. Right now, for the gaming side, we have the 2 child companies, Before the Storm, and then recently announced at E3 on the first day was Dreamfire Games.
Wonderful. Okay, you have 2 studios. That's incredible. So let us begin. Let's start out talking about these studios, all right? And then I know you have different games under each, and then we can kind of go through them and talk about your vision, your passion, why you decided to make each of these games. So how about it Before the Storm?
So with Before the Storm, that was kind of our first development studio that we started off with. And that is developing, well, a few of the games that we have. So for example, there's Awoken, which is part 1 or chapter 1 of the Reverie series. There's also Doomsday, which is actually chapter 2. There's a few other games in the pipeline as well under specifically Before the Storm, but all in all, with Before the Storm, the main goal of it is to have in-depth experiences that you can experience over a long period of time, something that really gives you something to think about and you can always come back to, as well as just being fun and entertaining.
Wonderful. Okay, so since you brought it up, what is Reverie and why are there different chapters?
So Reverie, it originally started off just as one singular game, which was just Reverie, just by itself. It was a survival horror game that tells the story of Mount Moira Hospital, and essentially you play as the role of Riley, who is basically trying to survive, as you do in most horror games. And it started expanding. We started making this large world that we really wanted to further explore. So instead of sticking to just simply one game, we wanted to turn this into, well, a trilogy. So starting off, it is Awoken, which is chapter 1 of Reverie. However, chapter 2 kind of shifts gears a little bit away from the horror scene, but it is still expanding upon the same world that we've already built.
Okay, fantastic. And what made you guys decide to make a horror series?
So for the horror series for Awoken, a lot of it is based off of different experience, like for example, the Russian sleep experiments. A lot of events that took place during World War II is kind of based off of that. And also our CEO, he was actually staying up north in a different state, and he was listening to Marilyn Manson, and he kind of got the idea for one of the original ideas for Awoken. Originally, the title of the game was Reverie, and then as Jen had mentioned, it kind of became a 3-part series, but originally it was just Reverie. And as I said, the CEO was listening to Marilyn Manson and in this kind of creepy house. And he kind of got like chill creep vibes. And as he was listening,
he basically,
I'm getting glares right now off camera, just so you know.
He basically had such like a chilling experience that he felt like he needed to share, and with the story of Reverie, which is now the 3-part trilogy.
All right. So I know who you're talking about. I don't remember him bringing that up when I interviewed him before.
And that's like the far backstory of the like original origin
Yeah.
of the game. And yeah, he was doing some research about abandoned asylums and the experiments and events that happened at asylums, as well as events that took place during World War II. And those are actually, the documents that you read and pick up in Awoken, chapter 1 of Reverie, you can actually read some of the events, like it's factual events that actually happened back then.
Very cool.
So that's pretty neat.
Okay, so pulling back from the horror for a second, as I understand it, you also have a card game that you're translating into a video game?
Yes.
Yes, that would be actually Orions Spur, which we are in, what do you call it? Can think of,
We have a partnership basically with Fiero Initiative, who is actually the creator of the physical card game. That they have a card shop near us over in St. Pete, Florida. That's where we officially met them and everything like that, where they showed us the game and they were interested in having the physical version, but they were very curious as to how it would play out into a video game, and that's where we come in, basically to transpose the physical card game into the virtual world and being able to have all the same elements and everything like that, just transitioned.
That's fascinating. And has it been a smooth transition, or like is this like a fast-paced game? How does this work?
It's still very in the beginnings of everything working out. We do have actually one of the physical like boxes here, and we most of us here have played the card game. If not, we're all going to. But it has a bunch of different rules and everything on the game. It is very strategic, so it plays out kind of slow. From my understanding, from what actually he was here on our Just Press Start as one of the table talks, like we're doing right now, where he explained that he is in creation of adapting it, making it a little bit more fast playing and still keeping that strategic style. So it is constantly evolving, and we just have to evolve with that when creating it into the virtual space.
Awesome. Okay, and there was an incredibly cute game. I think it was called Pseudo Dragons.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
That is being developed. So far, only one person. He's been working on it alone, and he's been adding and expanding on it from the ground up. He said it was starting as just like a tutorial, like learning how to use the engine, and then from there he started throwing in his own elements and other things that he liked and inspirations from games that he liked, and now it became its own IP, just all in itself, and it's full of cute dragons in its own storyline.
very cute.
So-
I want a plushie.
Yes.
So what can we expect from that game? Because your trailer, they come dropping down, and what is it?
Pseudo Dragons right now, with a lot of our games, it's still being developed and everything like that. From when I spoke to the developer, his name's Devlin, and I asked him, what do people want to feel when they're playing Pseudo Dragons? And he goes, I just wanted people to feel dumb and happy. And that's the whole premise, and that's what I feel like a lot of what that trailer does is seeing all the cuteness and just going, oh, and like, look, that's so cute, and just taking away if you're having any troubles or anything like that while you're playing Pseudo Dragons, you're just in this fun little world with dragons running around. It is going to have the storyline and the base thing of everything going and doing everything, and in the name Pseudo Dragons, it is based in like a dream world. We will have more information coming out as it is developed, like through our social medias, like Discord and everything like that. So if you are interested in Pseudo Dragons, we definitely will be able to go ahead and keep you guys up to date.
Wonderful. And I think it's the last game For the Storm is Last Shot. So that was interesting. I loved your trailer. Put a little humor in that. So what is that's supposed to be like? Is what's the purpose of this game?
Last Shot is a variety online multiplayer shooter. It basically took Arsenio Billy. He's a big fan of the olden games like Quake, Unreal Tournament, and he wanted to go ahead and start out with that idea. Or if I go even further back, I remember the conversation being just a paragraph.
Yes.
And from that paragraph, we expanded into this world, which we are still developing, but it's taken off like crazy. What was the time from being paragraph to game? Like 3 months?
It was, I would say like maybe like a year and a half ago, it was just one paragraph. And then it's like, all right, we got to focus on other things. And then fast forward to a couple years later.
Pulling the paragraph out of a dusty drawer.
Yeah. It's like, wait a second, let's go back to this. We can definitely do something else with this. And then 3 months, like, bam, we got Last Shot.
Okay. And on the other side, so that's before the storm, you have Dreamfire Games, right? And
Yes.
why did you guys decide to start a new studio? And as I understand it, it started fairly recently.
Yeah, so Dreamfire Games, that is a studio based on different. It has a slightly different focus than the other one does. So that one is more. It's supposed to be more of an experience instead of like you're playing a game. But this Dreamfire Games wants to create an experience where the player won't just end the storyline and then move on with their lives. Like the goal of those games that come from Dreamfire is that the player will stop playing the game, maybe want to be inspired to go back to it, to maybe play a different alternate, like a different version of it, to have an alternative experience, to have a different ending to the game, and to always remember those characters once they set the controller down. To remember, oh hey, I remember that time that I walked into this castle town and another player was running around and threw a barrel. They're just fun experiences, or they just remember the emotion that the characters had, or they remember the environment, like the breathtaking environment. It's going to have a different art style. It's not going to have the same realistic art style like Doomsday and Awoken has, but we just want the games to be memorable. We want the experiences to be memorable forever.
Another part of the game is that, like, for example, Before the Storm, where we have a major trilogy spanning on multiple hours of gameplay and things like that. Dreamfire Games are more focused on that experience that Andrew was talking about, but more packed into, let's say, like 10-hour game, where in that 10 hours, there's so much to see and like doing things like that. You can finish the game really quickly, but you're going to miss out on a whole bunch. There is so much more that you can do. So it has that replayability factor as well. And it's not necessarily that there won't be sequels to these particular games, you know, if we have ideas for them in the future. It's just that that is not the main focus.
Right. And even from a production standpoint, it's actually a little bit better to kind of keep things a little bit more organized and kind of separate. So that way we can have two dedicated teams in these different studios working on what they need to work on in tandem. So that way things don't get quite so mixed up in between them as well.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Okay. So one of your games is called Runner, and please tell us a little bit about that.
So Runner is, with that game, you play as the main character, which is Jack Tanner. He was framed for the killing of his captain, and he gets his gun and badge taken away. So he tries going the underground route of having underground gangs and different alternative routes to try to get his name cleared. But during this time, when he tries to get his name cleared, he ends up owing a lot of that help to them. So now he has the underground gangs coming after him. He still has the law enforcement group he was part of coming after him as well. So it's a lot of he's in quite a situation.
Both police and criminals after him both. So how does he get out of this situation? You have to wait and find out.
Okay, beautiful.
The authority, that's they're the main antagonist for that.
Okay. And the game that seemed to catch my eye the most was Arcane. It appeared to be like an RPG. What is that?
It's actually one of our newest games that we have going. And person that is the main reason why Arcane really exists is going to be Billy as well as Andrew here. So she would be the best person to ask for that.
So Arcane, I am one of the lead developers of that one. Billy and I actually built that game in 3 days, both the trailer, the game, and the gameplay video for that one. But that one, actually, that's the main game. That's going to be the first game developed solely by Dreamfire Games. So that's going to be the RPG game that's going to be very similar. It's going to have gameplay very similar to Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, but with the environment very similar to how Zelda Breath of the Wild is. If you've seen the trailer for it, you kind of see the similarities between the art style there and how it's going to be open world. But that one, the main character for that, you play as Sai. And in her village was all burnt down from dark magic. It was all destroyed by dark magic. So you as Sai, you are trying to bring back the good magic to the land and also find your significant other who was taken during this whole raid. So you're trying to find him again, get him back, and rescue him from wherever he was captured. And this is how the journey begins for that.
Wonderful. And what was the inspiration behind this? Why did you guys decide to make this particular game?
we wanted to, so we have a few different games that are going to be set in an open world environment, but we wanted one to have a fun art style with some challenging gameplay. So we wanted to have combine a few different inspirations from different games that we've played into a fun art style, but also give that different experience. So as you played, like, because this is from Dreamfire Games, we want Psy and the environment in the world to be memorable. So we decided, okay, let's go ahead and make this game that has all of these, like, it's a good mix of different games that we enjoy, but also a different storyline that none of these, like, all these games we love, but none of them have this kind of storyline. So we have our own storyline for it.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's all 7, right?
Let's see. We have to go down the list.
Doomsday. I don't think we talked about
I don't think we talked too much about Doomsday. We mentioned it.
Please,
mentioned it in
please tell
passing.
us.
So Doomsday is the sequel to Awoken, Chapter 1 of Reverie. Doomsday is the second chapter in that storyline out of 3. So Doomsday is a post-apocalyptic. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, and you are in a group of 6 playable characters, and each of these 6 different characters are going to have different ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds, and whenever you start the game, well, when you make a new save, you have the option to choose to play as one of these characters. So in turn, that's 6 different playable options, 6 different endings to the game, essentially, one of 6. But as you play the game, you have different dialogue options as you play it. So you can choose to be a jerk to certain people, or you can choose to be kind and compassionate to certain people. What you say or choose will determine the outcome of the conversation, or it determines the outcome of your relationship with them. So it's kind of like its own morale system. It'll be, hopefully, the goal is to be like a wake-up call to players. It's to show players how to work together in diverse situations and to recognize and shed light on the different cultures and religions and different communities. Like, one of the ones I'm passionate about specifically is one of the characters is going to be deaf, and we are going to incorporate full American Sign Language into the game. And I'm actually going to reach out to some of the members of the deaf community, including my former instructor, including some of my former instructors. So if you're watching this, get ready. I'm going to be contacting you soon. But we want it to be an authentic experience. So besides American Sign Language, we want to represent all these different cultures and communities and backgrounds properly as they should be. So as the player is playing it, they get a real authentic feel, and it'll hopefully be a wake-up call to players to be more open-minded about the differences within the world, that while there are different cultures and religions and backgrounds and languages, we are all still human at the end of the day. So it's going to be a very different, like, it's a sequel to Awoken, but it'll be a much different experience.
Yeah, and you'll really see how they all tie in together, especially once you do play through, chapters 1, 2, and eventually 3. You'll really see how they all kind of fit together within the same world. And aside from it being, we want it again to be a very accurate portrayal of these different characters. We also just whatchamacallit? Oh, shoot. I was going to say, though, with everything that we're trying to, put together for it, we really just, again, we really want to kind of touch to the heart of the player and kind of reach out to them with that to really show just that even at the end of the day that you can still band together, because, again, we are all human.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Now, this is Doomsday is chapter 2 of Reverie. And you mentioned that we'll be able to see how these fit together. So is it not a direct sequel? Is it just kind of in the world, or how does
So we've heard from a lot of people, because if you look at Awoken, we have like the horror genre, and then you go into Doomsday, which is more being able to transverse these relationships as well as the survival. And we're like, it doesn't really make sense as the sequel as it goes. But the storyline, I do promise you, does all fit together. I've been with Devious Eye for about 6 months. And I remember the first time Billy, who I actually met and brought me in, talking about the whole series and everything. And I was like, it doesn't fit anything until you get more into the game and experience what's going on in the story. And then things just start to connect, and your mind just like blows up with like all the information. It's like, that makes sense because of that. And that makes sense because of that. And it's it all fits together, but like I said, it is going to be like completely genre shifting from one game to the other.
Okay, so Billy Young had the opportunity to be here, and instead he chose to have you guys come and talk with me today. And he knows, having been on my show, that I like to talk about you as people. So I'd like to know, like, where did you come from? How did you end up at Devious Eye Entertainment? What do you think about the studio?
I mean, I joined Devious Eye Entertainment back in January of 2017. I joined as a live streamer, but before I joined Devious Eye Entertainment, I had taken different American Sign Language classes. And during those classes, I was asked, why are you taking these classes? Do you know someone who's deaf? Do you have a deaf relative? Or do you want to be an interpreter? And I'm like, well, interpreting on stage in front of the entire universe is not maybe my thing that I feel comfortable doing, but I do want to honor the deaf community in some way. So I kind of put a pin in that idea. And then in 2017 is when I joined Devious Eye, and I'm like, well, wait, maybe I could incorporate ASL into live streaming. That wasn't necessarily the place for it. And then fast forward a little less than a year, I was offered the role of COO for Devious Eye. Fast forward another year, became co-founder of Before the Storm, and then lead developer of Dreamfire Games. But during this time period is when the development of Doomsday became more in depth, and American Sign Language was wanted. It was decided that's going to be in the game. I'm like, this is the point where I'll get to use American Sign Language in the gaming industry to shed more light on that. But yeah, from 2017 to current, I've been with the company, and this is with Doomsday is where I'm able to share my passion, is honoring the deaf community, but also getting more awareness for American Sign Language and just that entire culture and deaf world in general.
That's wonderful. Andreas.
As I mentioned, I've been here for about 6 months, but I actually met Billy through one of my previous positions at one of my old jobs during retail and everything. I was actually one of like a manager essentially for like a rep business on there, and I would meet Billy within one of the locations I would go ahead and frequent, and we would get all talking all the time because I'm a big gamer. I've been gaming ever since I was a kid. And he would tell me about like his video games and his process, and he wouldn't share with me the final details, but it got me curious as to how things going. And after about a year passed, I realized like I would love to be a part of that. I would love to have my passion for gaming be as well as my passion for like management and like business wise going along with that. So eventually he brought me on, and I've been happy here ever since, being able to help out with some of the projects, actually voice acting for Last Shot with a couple of the announcers and things like that are going to be showing you guys soon coming up. And being able to just help out everywhere I can, and especially with E3, being able to reach out to everyone and communicate with everyone has been a blast.
Fantastic. And yourself, Jen?
So also starting off as a live streamer back in the beginning of 2016. Mostly was just kind of staying on with that within the company as the primary focus. And about a year later, gaining actually the role of Riley, the main protagonist of Now Awoken. So shifting from that, even 1 year after that, to also then become the chief creative officer for Devious Eye Entertainment. And then, as Andrea mentioned as well, once Before the Storm kind of came to be, then made executive director of that after some time as well. And for me, again, started off with live streaming. I just have a lot of fun with games. I've been a gamer since I could remember. And shifting from that, of having just such a passion for video games, one thing that I've always wanted to bring to the table is to have video games seen as a true art form as well and be respected amongst the general populace. There are so many people that just think that, oh, kids, games are for kids, they're, nothing important. And it's such a unique medium that you can tell all these vast stories that you can play a part of and change. And that is unique only to video games. You can't get that same experience with, say, a film or a book. Well, those are wonderful platforms as well to experience these stories and experiences. It's still just not the same. And that is one thing that I would like to sort of hopefully bring about, is just a change of mindset generally for video games to actually be seen as an art form and be respected amongst the general community.
Beautiful. All right. Now, I don't want anyone to think this entire interview was on rails. We didn't have any questions prepared or anything like that. So let's go off the rails a little bit. How do you guys think about E3? Like, this is you guys' first appearance there, right?
It's been a while. Yeah,
It's insane.
So exciting.
We, I before even with Devious Eye, I have a lot of respect for E3, being able to watch and see all the games from all these different companies. I never thought, especially when I was younger, being like, wow, I could actually be a part of that. So it's really a awakening experience, and being able to go ahead and be a part of this is really exciting.
Okay. Where's Devious Eye Entertainment going to go from here?
Nothing but up. As well as Dreamfire Games, Before the Storm, and all the other child companies of us. We're all going up.
E3 being this big of a convention and everything, we plan on going some other conventions, plan on developing our games, releasing our games, just moving forward and up.
Okay. And you showcased 7 games, but I hear there's others in the works.
We do have more besides 7, but 7 was the number that we were able to take to E3. We currently
That's incredible. That is a huge amount of games. Like, how are you guys pulling that off?
A lot of work.
Constantly working. We live in the game engines.
Within the studio, we have a few select people that are working, constantly on improving and making things work. We have an expanded team that gets the help that they need in order to go ahead and do that work, creating connections, getting like the artwork, getting things like that, making conversations to go ahead and make things moving and rolling to go ahead and get that done. But like we said here, it is a lot of work. It's not simple. Like for example, she said they created Arcane within what we showed you in 3 days. But there is a lot more work to go ahead and do that for what we envision to go ahead and give everyone for that experience.
Okay.
A lot of coffee. A lot.
All right, I'm sure. But why so many games? Why not 1 or 2? Why you have 7 that you showed off and you have more in the works?
Honestly,
What made you guys decide to hurt yourselves like that?
Honestly, we just have so many ideas that we want to bring forth to the table, and we like to strike while the iron's hot. While you are inspired and really just feeling creative, we really want to kind of at least get the ball rolling with some of these. Now, there have been a few, since we have so many in the works, that will kind of get things started with them. And then the focus might shift a little bit to one or the other at any given time. But that way we can kind of have all these different people working on these different projects kind of at the same time. So it's a really interesting creative process, not gonna lie. It's not really like anyone else that we've seen anyways. But that's generally why we have so many. It's just because we'll have an idea and we go, let's go for it. Let's do it.
We'll like workshop it essentially. Here in Devious Eye, we don't like to necessarily shoot down ideas. We like to work with those ideas and make them into something if they can be. We have a lot of shows going on. Right now we're talking about our gaming side, but like Andrea mentioned, we have the whole film that we're going to be able to go ahead and doing and producing. And we also have the music side of everything that people are creating and doing that. So if we have someone from Devious Eye one day and be like, hey, I have this song idea that I want to go ahead and make, we'll support them fully and being able to give them everything they need to go ahead and create that vision and have that creative goal. And with everything moving forward, especially with our games, like for example, Woken, we have that out right now on Steam. They're able to go ahead and see that development process. It is early access. It is not like the full story of everything that it's going to be, but you can definitely go ahead and have the experience of what we have right now.
Incredible. All right. How do people find Devious Eye Entertainment? How do they get to you? How do they check out your content, all your games? Please tell us.
So we have our Facebook is Devious Eye Entertainment. We also do have a Twitch channel, which also has eSpot Live, as well as the host of eSpot Live, Ellie. She has her own channel, Ellie Baited, where she plays games on there. But on our Twitch page, twitch.tv/Devious Eye Entertainment, it also has links to our other medias on there. So it has links to our Facebook. It does have a link to our Discord if you want to join our Discord. That's actually the most direct way to stay updated with our games that we're working on, as well as direct communication with the developers and team members of Devious Eye and all of its companies.
All of our initial posts go directly to Discord first and then disperses. Yeah. So if you want the quickest access to get in contact with developers, higher end up with everything that's happening with any of our games or anything going on with Devious Eye Entertainment, that would be the place. And we're actually currently looking for some voice actors, not only for Awoken, but some of our other titles. And if you are interested for anything like that, our Discord would be the place to be.
We do have an Instagram, Devious Eye, just the full name, Devious Eye Entertainment. We post stuff on there as well. But yeah, for sure, Discord is the most direct way.
Love it. All right, now as we're wrapping this interview up, do you guys have any final thoughts you want to share as we, essentially wrapping up E3 today, right?
We do have something coming up in the works that's pretty soon. That if you do like a lot of our games, especially with Last Shot, we actually have something pretty interesting.
Yeah, so also just kind of to segue into this, we are actually doing a Kickstarter for Last Shot. So that way, if you guys want to be a part of it and, kind of pledge a donation to us, so essentially that way we can put that directly into the game, make it as good as we possibly can using that. Go ahead and check us out again on Discord. We will be posting it there as well as our other social medias that will be coming within the next couple weeks as well. So keep an eye out. And one of the reasons why we wanted to use and utilize Kickstarter for Last Shot is because we wanted to involve you guys. And that way you guys can get access along with us developers and other people who are getting it early. So that way you can give us true feedback on it. And you'll see all of the new updates and features that we're adding as we put them into the game. So it's pretty exciting as well.
Wonderful. All right. So Andrea, Andreas, and Jen, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing this wonderful experience with us.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we're excited to be here.
And if you are curious at all at what Devious Eye Entertainment has going on, please check out their YouTube channel where they have their showcase up there. That all of their trailers are there. It looks absolutely fantastic. So this is definitely a company to watch going into the future. They have so much going on. And on that note, I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.